Ravi, Priya, Amit, Neha and Deepak were more than just friends. They were adventurers. Their love for the unknown brought them together. They formed a college club dedicated to exploring forgotten places. They dreamed of uncovering hidden truths and sharing them with the world. They believed every abandoned building held a story waiting to be told. Little did they know, their next adventure would change them forever.
We should definitely check out Hollowbrook. The legend is just too intriguing to pass up.
They were drawn to the legend of Hollowbrook. It was a small village swallowed by time. Locals whispered tales of its inhabitants vanishing overnight. Some said they were cursed, their souls trapped forever within the village boundaries.
I've heard the stories too. It's creepy but fascinating.
The friends were captivated. This was the kind of mystery they craved. Excitement buzzed as they finalized their plans. They packed their cameras and recording equipment, ready to document everything. They were determined to uncover the truth behind Hollowbrook. They were prepared for anything, or so they thought. The old jeep rumbled down the dusty road. Sunbeams flickered through the thick canopy of trees lining the path. With every mile, the world outside seemed to fade away, replaced by an unsettling silence. They finally reached a weather-beaten sign. Hollowbrook, it read, the letters barely clinging to the rotting wood. A palpable chill settled over the group as they crossed the invisible boundary into Hollowbrook. The air grew heavy, thick with an eerie stillness. The sun, previously bright, seemed to dim, casting long, distorted shadows. The friends exchanged uneasy glances. Something felt different here. The village was a ghost town in the truest sense. Houses stood dilapidated, windows like vacant eyes staring out at them. The wind whistled through the gaps in the walls, sounding like mournful cries. The only sign of life was the rustling of leaves and the occasional startled bird. Despite their growing unease, the friends pressed on, their curiosity outweighing their fear. They'd come to Hollowbrook for a story, and they were determined to find it. They decided to set up a base at the village center. The remnants of a fountain stood there, its once pristine water now a murky pool. As they unloaded their equipment, whispers seemed to dance on the wind. They were faint, almost indistinguishable, yet they sent shivers down their spines.
I swear I saw something move in that window.
Priya swore she saw a flicker of movement in a nearby window. When she turned to look again, it was gone.
This place is truly creepy. Do you think the stories could be true?
Don't be ridiculous, Amit. It's just the wind and our imaginations running wild.
But even Neha couldn't shake the growing feeling that they were not alone. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the village seemed to come alive. The shadows stretched and twisted, taking on menacing shapes. The whispers grew louder, circling them like hungry spirits. The next morning, they decided to explore the most imposing structure in Hollowbrook, the old church. It stood at the highest point of the village, its spire reaching towards the sky like a skeletal finger. The once grand oak doors hung precariously from their hinges, groaning as if in pain. As they stepped inside, the air grew heavy, thick with the smell of decay.
This place gives me the creeps. It feels like we're being watched.
His words echoed eerily in the vast emptiness of the church. Dust motes danced in the faint rays of sunlight. The pews were overturned, some broken as if there had been a struggle. They found an old hymnal lying open on the floor, its pages yellowed and brittle. The haunting melody of a forgotten song seemed to linger in the air. Ravi noticed a series of mirrors lining the walls. They were ornate and beautiful, yet unsettling. As he peered into one, he felt a cold shiver run down his spine. His reflection was missing. He blinked and it was back, but the feeling of dread lingered. His friends gathered around him, their faces etched with concern.
One by one, they looked into the mirror.
Each time, the same thing happened. Their reflections were absent, replaced by a chilling emptiness.
A wave of dizziness washed over Priya, and she stumbled back. This is wrong, she whispered, her voice trembling. We need to leave.
As they turned to leave, they found the church door shut. They rattled the handle, but it wouldn't budge. Panic began to set in. They were trapped. Outside, the wind howled, a mournful sound that seemed to mock their plight. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. They were prisoners in a village of ghosts, and the line between the living and the dead was blurring with every passing moment. Panic turned to terror as the last rays of sunlight faded, plunging the church into darkness. They huddled together, their combined breaths echoing in the oppressive silence.
The whispers returned, louder than before, swirling around them like a vortex of despair. They felt unseen eyes watching them, their bodies prickling with fear.
Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream pierced the air. It was Neha. They spun around, their flashlights dancing in the darkness, but she was gone. Panic threatened to consume them.
Where did she go? Deepak shouted, his voice cracking with fear.
We need to stick together, Ravi said, his voice shaking but firm. We'll find her. But even as he spoke, doubt gnawed at him. Were they truly alone in this haunted village? Or were they surrounded by unseen forces beyond their comprehension? They searched frantically for Neha, their flashlight beams cutting through the thick darkness.
The church seemed to twist and turn, each corner leading to another dead end.
They called out her name, their voices swallowed by the oppressive silence.
One by one, the friends became separated. Amit found himself running down a seemingly endless corridor, his heart pounding in his chest. Deepak stumbled upon a hidden chamber, its walls adorned with strange symbols. Ravi found himself in the church graveyard, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. The headstones were weathered and cracked, the names and dates barely visible. He saw a figure standing near the back, silhouetted against the pale moonlight.
Neha?
The figure turned and Ravi's blood ran cold. It was Neha, but her eyes were vacant, her skin pale and translucent. She reached out to him, a sad smile on her lips. He recoiled, fear clutching at his throat. He wanted to run, to escape the nightmare that was unfolding, but his feet felt rooted to the spot. As he stared at his friend, he saw a flicker of recognition in her eyes, a fleeting glimpse of the girl he knew, and then it was gone, replaced by an emptiness that chilled him to the bone. He realized with a sickening certainty that this was no longer Neha. She was gone, lost to whatever darkness had consumed Hollowbrook. One by one, his friends appeared in the graveyard, each bearing the same vacant expression, the same otherworldly pallor. They reached out to him, their touch cold and insubstantial. He was surrounded, trapped in a horrifying tableau of lost souls. The whispers intensified, swirling around him like a chorus of the damned.
He closed his eyes, tears streaming down his face. He had failed them. He had led them to this place, this vortex of despair from which there seemed to be no escape. He felt a cold hand on his shoulder and looked up into the eyes of his friends. Their faces, once filled with life and laughter, were now masks of sorrow and longing. They were trapped, bound to this place for eternity. And then he understood. They weren't trying to harm him. They were welcoming him, inviting him to join their spectral congregation. He was no longer afraid. He was resigned to his fate. He closed his eyes and let the darkness take him.
The next morning, the sun rose over Hollowbrook, casting its golden rays on the silent village. The old church stood sentinel over the deserted houses, its broken windows like vacant eyes. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it the secrets of the lost souls of Hollowbrook. The village remained frozen in time, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lay hidden beneath the surface of the world. And in the heart of the village, within the decaying walls of the old church, a new addition joined the spectral congregation. Ravi stood among his friends, his form shimmering, translucent. Their eyes, once filled with fear, now held a strange peace. They were together again, united in their afterlife, their souls bound to Hollowbrook for eternity. The village of the vanished had claimed 5 more souls, their stories adding to the chilling legend of the place where the living were lured to join the ghostly embrace of the forever lost.